This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks. I have the pleasure of having a friend of mine since 2000, Rich Novelli, currently out of Albuquerque, working at Highpoint Sport and Fitness out of the Wellbridge family of brands run by the illustrious Edward Williams. Rich, welcome to Halo Talks. It's good to see your face again.
See you, Pete. It's been too long. I didn't realize it's been 20 years, man. That's a long time.
Been 20. I always remember when they started doing AOL dial-up commercials, and that's when you and I started to start a business that needed a little more broadband to it. So
right,
started things at the right time, but ideas kind of flow. And now if we had that company today, it would be probably one of the larger software companies in the Halo sector. Be that as it may, let's get back to Albuquerque, on the ground, fighting wars. Give us an update.
So it's been interesting. You know, I've been doing this a long time, and I don't think anything has prepared us for what COVID has presented to clubs in general. Fighting fronts of awareness, fighting fronts on a new business model, being able to pivot quickly and do some things that a lot of clubs haven't really been forced to do. And as a result, I think it either makes you stronger or you kind of get out of the way for new technology and new ideas. But I think there's a lot, Pete, that has been exactly the same. I think connecting with members in a deeper way has been part of this. We have found that we were shut down here from the middle of March till the beginning of June. Mm-hmm. And we were shut down a second time from the middle of November until the beginning of December. Both of those times, we took the opportunity to reach out to our thousands of members personally. And by that, I mean, we got on the phones and we were talking to these people and finding out how they were and letting them know what we were doing from a safety and sanitation protocol, giving them assurances on how we were going to handle their memberships. Really taking the opportunity to do a deeper connection than I think we've ever done before. And I think a lot of clubs have done that. And I think at the end, it's going to make our industry stronger.
Yeah. Somebody the other day was debating whether to send an email out to their members, and they referred to them as sleeper members. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking to myself, like, if I was running a sports team and I had like 30% of my fans were sleeping in the stands, and didn't care about the game anymore, would I just let them sleep, or would I go up there and say, hey, let me move you down here. Like, let me get you some, a souvenir. Let me get you like one of those, remember those number one foams that they used to have? Right. Get engaged, because if you fell asleep in this game, you're probably never coming back to another game.
Right.
And it's like the mindset of like, yeah, do you remember? Like, reach out to them. Like, you have a relationship. Why would you ever avoid that?
And I think, different models probably have a different perspective on that.
Right.
If you're looking at a high volume model, your model's based on the premise that you're not hoping that a lot of people show up and a lot of people just pay their dues and go away. In the model that we're working with, we're a premium brand. We don't have a high volume of members. And so our usage rate is very high. Our penetration in terms of members taking advantage of their membership is very high. So we really didn't even consider not reaching out to members. I think that has served us very well at the end of the day.
So when you take a look at, certain parts of the sector kind of go in and out of favor, I'd say pre-COVID, all the rage was, Planet Fitness, like you're talking about HVLP, here's what the profit margins, those big clubs, there's too much square footage, there's so much legacy CapEx. I got to have a lot of labor because, people want to talk to someone and they want to get results, by the way, and actually want to pay for it. So do you see the pandemic as, one, I don't think people are going to be traveling as much, so they might use the club more as like their destination than their ski trip, or whoever else knows what people used to go on as, getaways and vacations and European travel and so on and so forth. So you see people come back to the club more frequently? Do you see people actually care more about themselves and actually want human connection since they were deprived of it for most of this year?
Yeah, I think we've seen that. We certainly have seen people that even during the shutdown, Pete, which was fascinating to us, that a lot of members volunteered to continue to pay their dues because they wanted to support their club. They wanted to support an organization that was there for them. And we were, gosh, if you can't go to bat for people like that, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Conversely, though, I think, a lot of these high volume providers are finding it difficult to meet that challenge because out here in New Mexico, we have severe restrictions on capacity. And so if you're a Crunch or if you're a Choose Fitness or if you're a Planet Fitness, you got lines out the door. Now, today it's 32 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. Okay. How long are you going to stand in line to visit your club, no matter how loyal you are? So I think, clubs, especially high volume clubs, are in a real dilemma as to how they're going to approach that model and service those members. Because at the end of the day, yeah, I want to use my club. I want to come in. I've got nothing else to do. I'm still furloughed, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
How am I going to get into my club if I'm standing there waiting in line because I can only have 75 people in my club?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it definitely goes back to the point that, your square footage actually becomes an asset. Whereas, a financial guy might look at it and be like, hey, what's your revenue per square foot? It's like, well, actually, it's a lot higher now because I get more people in here.
Right.
So, trends change and opportunities, morph. One of the questions I had, just on this point, because, if I'm a high volume club, my business model is to have a relationship with your checking account or with your credit card. Like if my business model says, hey, the way I make money is my labor is 10% of revenue, and your labor model, it has to be like 40% of revenue. Like you've made a distinction, or a high-end operator has made a distinction that I'm actually having a relationship with a human versus I'm having a relationship with their credit card. And you just indicated was actually a human connection with the club. Whereas like, look, if I'm an HVLP and you're not open, I don't have any empathy for you because you've never really had any empathy for me. Like you give it access, and when the access is not there, I'm not paying for it. Where if you have an experience or a relationship, like I paid for that. So why would I put a relationship on hold?
And this is where I continue to say through all of the noise that, geez, fitness clubs are not going to survive. They're not going to make it. Everything's going to go virtual, or people are going to find other ways to exercise. My comeback is always that a huge portion of the value of a health club membership is the social experience, is having a connection with that club, whether it be your associates that are running the club or whether it be the members in the club. And I just can't see that ever really changing. We're social animals. That's not going to go away. Now, what can you do in the meantime? Yes, you can go virtual. You can add these other hybrid types of opportunities to augment your model while things are hopefully settling down this year and getting back to some kind of normalcy. But you're absolutely right, Pete. I've said for a long time that if 10% of your overhead is in payroll, and now that's exacerbated because those people are getting screamed at every day because you can't get in the club and you can't use the facilities, I think you've got to really try to pivot hard, or you're going to be out in the cold. And look at what we've seen. All of the major mid-market players have had to file for bankruptcy or restructuring in one way, shape, or form. And that's because I think in a lot of ways, those models just have not been able to take on this burden. And nobody expected this. We got that. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, they're looking at pivoting and doing a different business model in order to be successful.
Well, when you take a look at, so you're an operating guy and you're a processes guy, like, from the first day we met, right? Like the whiteboard and like, how do I get from point A to B, and like what happens in between there and every step of the way. So I feel like you've always being like a leader in business choreography. I'm going to give you that new title.
Can I use that? That's awesome. I like to use that. Thank you.
So, how have you looked at this and said, oh, actually, I've always wanted people not to have to like pass a key between me and the person. Like I wanted to always use the RFID barcode, or I always wanted, people to actually wash their hands before they came in here, because it seemed like the right thing to do, So what's happened during COVID that operationally you may have been pushing and now it's actually obvious that it's being done? Or what are some of the things that you said, hey, that I didn't think about that before, but like, wow, like this has really freed up X, Y, Z.
I've been really fortunate, Pete, in my career, not only to meet people like yourself and build friendships on that, but to look at how various models in our industry have been successful. And in my 33 years in this business, it still amazes me that the largest compliments or the most comments that we get from members across all models is the club clean? Is it sanitary? Am I being taken care of as a person? Mm-hmm. Those things never change. And I think in this environment, they're even more important. So clearly, we've just been able to take that baseline foundation of cleanliness, sanitation, customer service, and just ratcheted that up to include temperature checks at the door, sanitation, touchless entry, constantly masks for everybody. Those things, although certainly not masks would be high on my list, a lot of those other things still make sense. Yeah. And we were able to bring a lot of members back because we could look them in the eye and had a track record of already being a very clean, very sanitary, very customer service oriented business. And I think that those three areas carry across every business model in our industry. So those that have done well with that, I think, have had an easier time with these new restrictions and protocols. Mm-hmm. Those that really didn't pay much attention to it are going to struggle because it's not in their DNA. It's not in their culture.
So we take a look and see digital, and I think digital hit a peak last night at like 9:00 at night. And I'll tell you why, because I'm watching television and I see 4 at-home fitness ads back to back to back to back. Okay. So that's like when my Uber driver says, hey man, you think I should buy Merck at 86? I'm like, sell Merck. Right. And I feel like the digital thing has gotten so overblown now that I get like 4 minutes of commercials. Oh, by the way, I already own my own exercise equipment, right? So I just wasted that ad on me. Do you see this kind of like when something's a frenzy and you see so much of it in this industry, you kind of know, all right, that's great. It's kind of had its day in the sun. It's got its place now, in the ecosystem. But like all this additional marketing, it's a little bit, like investor craze. And how is that affecting what you're doing or integrating with what you're doing?
I'll answer the last part of that. We haven't really seen it impact us at all. I think, again, going back to the fact that if you want to be a member of a health club, there are the social aspects that you're just not going to get at home. It started, 40 years ago when you could get a bike or a treadmill and put it in your home. And the old joke was that was the most expensive coat rack that you ever bought. And I think a lot of that still holds true today. I just don't see equipment, these in-home pieces of equipment, changing drastically how the industry is going to go. I still think at the end of the day, although remote work has worked very well, and from what I'm hearing, I just don't see remote exercise, in-home exercise, really ever taking over what the fitness industry can bring to the table. And there are a lot of high-tech options now. We look at Tonal, we look at the Mirror, you look at a lot of things that, boy, they're really sexy and they're really cool, and they do a great job marketing those things. But I haven't checked. One wonders the price point on those things, first of all. And is that going to service the masses? Or, are you still looking at something that investors are saying, wow, this is sexy, this is hot, but at the end of the day, is it going to have legs and is it going to last through what we hope to be a recovery very soon.
You know, what might be a good analogy as I'm thinking about this is it's as if like the entire NBA decided, you know, we're actually not going to play physically. We're just going to play NBA 2K on e-games. So why don't you just watch us on e-games and I'll just going to play with my joystick. It's like, it's not
right.
Actually, live sports and leagues and professional leagues are probably going to continue to proliferate to the point where there's more and more, you know, private equity money going in and buying these teams and international television rights. And those are definitely going to be humans on the court. Mm-hmm. For hopefully for our lifetime, regardless of how long my lifetime is. I hope I'm watching like robotic UFC one night on pay-per-view.
Right. Real Steel. What was that movie? Real Steel, where they had the robots. Right?
Yeah. I've seen some of those like trucksters against each other. Anyway, I don't even know where that started. So pick up wherever you want.
Okay. No, I agree with you. I just, I believe that we are in a space that is a point in time. I think we found that human ingenuity is going to solve this problem, and people are longing to get back to normal. They're longing to get out of their homes. They're longing to get in a social environment. And I think clubs that can take advantage of that desire as we get closer to vaccines that are going to allow us to get out and get back to normal, I think those are the clubs that are going to be successful. It's interesting, you know, we have, as I mentioned, tight restrictions here, and yet you'll drive by, you know, these clubs and you'll still see lines of people. Well, it's the middle of winter, and, you know, those folks have other options, and yet they still want to come back to their club. So I just, for the life of me, can't see this being more than a blip on the larger radar of where the industry is going to go.
Yeah. So last question related to the pandemic. You know, you're like me. We've been friends for a long time. I remember we had a great drive in the car that one time. Do you remember that one, dude?
I always think about that, dude. Yes.
I gotta find the video, the audio on that, because that was one of the funniest couple of hours, man. Oh my God, it just hit me. We were in like a Corvette or something, or like a Malibu. You were driving and you were just giving me such a rash of crap the whole time on the. I know, it was great. It was phenomenal.
Hilarious.
Anyway, I'm gonna find that. I'm gonna try and loop in one of those audio loops. I'll get you first because it was hilarious. My point was, like, you're an optimistic guy. You like to move fast. You typically go a little bit over the speed limit, but you're not out of control ever. I am much more out of control than you are, and antsy when it comes to, like, when someone's like, hey, when are we getting back to normal? You know, in my mind, I'm saying like April 1st, like spring training, like game starts, like back on. The reality is it's probably not going to be until after the summer that like everyone comes back and like the coast is clear. So how do you, with your team, kind of say, look, like us being open and us making like incremental steps, whether it's like a couple more people came in today, you know, we did a couple more programs, you know, how do you calibrate or like tell people, hey, look, things are good. They're going to get better, but it's not going to happen in a week, in a month. So kind of, you know, cool your jets and be patient, because that's one of the things I'm really not good at.
Yeah. I think, you know, in that regard, I'm equally as impatient as you are. But I think what we've found is that we've been able to attack this on multiple fronts. So first and foremost, looking at it from general to specific, we try to let our people and our members know that there's still a lot of this that's out of our control. You know, we have to abide by state restrictions to keep the doors open. We have to monitor health of the state, which is driving a lot of the restrictions that we're currently involved with. But we've also taken a proactive approach, and Wellbridge has formed a variety of fitness coalitions across our 18 clubs across the country, where they're actively involved in representing our interest to state and local governments and saying, you know, we're not in the same categories as bars and restaurants. We are essential to the health, physical and mental health of people in this country. And so once we started taking that approach, it gave all of us, associates and members alike, another chip in the game and another way to have some control over where we're going to go in the future. And at least in New Mexico, things have loosened up. And I know in Colorado, where we're headquartered, things have loosened up a great deal because of the efforts of that fitness coalition. Beyond that, Pete, we work with our associates. We let them know that, let's control what we can control. We're thankful that we're working. We're thankful that we're able to still change lives every day by having members come in the door. And I'll be honest with you, our members, we feed off our members' energy. I think any club that has people coming in the door and getting that thank you for being open is huge to keep people, focused and on course and doing what they can do. You don't want to go negative, but, I have 130 employees at this club alone. We've probably brought back maybe 50 to 60 of those employees. Mm-hmm. And so the employees that are here are the best of the best. We share with them, how grateful we are that they're here, but how grateful maybe they should be that we all still have jobs.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's function. Let's focus on that for right now. And the changes that we can control, we'll control. The changes that we can't control, we will just try to learn patience through exercise and a little bit of mindfulness, or maybe a little bit more meditation.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, on that note, I am going to go search through my archives and see if I can find an audio riff to add to this. I'll get it approved by you.
Yes.
What year do you think that was? What year do you think that was?
We were down in Southern California looking at the possibility of buying some clubs together, I think.
I think it was the Frogs Clubs in
Clubs. Yes, it was.
Long Beach, California. That had to have been in like 2013, 14, maybe?
No, it was earlier than that, Pete.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because I was in Chicago starting in 2010, so it had to be before that. I think it had to be between 2007 and 2010, somewhere in there.
Wow. All right, I'm going to go back into the archive, see if I got it on a Dropbox somewhere, and we'll get your caricature done, and then I'll give you a call. I'm heading out of town today, but I'll give you a buzz.
When are you not getting out of town, man? Every time I talk to you, you're on your way out of town, dude.
Bro, it's like I saw some commercial the other day. It's like if you're not moving, like some like ideas either hit you or like just standing still. So I'm constantly in motion. But
I know you. It's also about not hitting a moving target. If you keep moving, you can't get
exactly, dude. Bob and weave, baby.
You're right.
That was great talking, dude.
Thanks so much, Pete.
Yeah, that was fun.
David, thank you.
Glad you're safe, brother.
Take care. Let's catch up soon.
You got it, buddy. Take care. Bye. As we continue to build our Halo Talks email notification database, want to offer you a free $10 instant gift card from our friends at Promotion Vault. Also to show you how easy it is to offer your members and prospects and clients the ability to get desired actions out of them and reward them in real time. Go to halotalks.com, put your email address into the pop-up box, see how it works, get a free $10 gift card from us, and keep listening and making everybody great.